Shane, this is pretty crazy. Mitch was supposed to be on right here at the beginning, but he got thrown into the battle of the bands. He said he cannot hear a thing, so sounding like, unlike, he would be sounding like a combat correspondent. We're going to put him in on the second hour, but we got a great guest, Jimmy Hodge, who I've listened to for years, knows college football backwards and forwards, and you're driving on your way back up to Chicago from Knoxville. And Jimmy, welcome to the show, and let's talk some Alabama football and college playoff. Can you do that?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Jimmy, Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now, questions about his availability tomorrow when LSU and Oklahoma square off at the Mercedes-Benz Georgia Dome. And I thought he was the SEC's most valuable player, pound for pound. What will LSU need to do? I know they've got lots of good athletes on that team, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is money in the bank in the biggest of games, and this is the biggest of stages short of the national championship game. What are your thoughts?
Well, they've got to know, game time approaches what his health is. I mean, is he 80%, 90%? It appears from everything I've heard that he's not going to be at 100. And when you have a hamstring, I mean, that's an injury you just can't mess around with, and especially if you're a running back, because first time you try to stop and then start again, that'll let you know right away how his hamstring is, and do you want to take a chance on that? Because I personally think that unless they're confident he's 100%, I wouldn't even play him. I just think they can beat Oklahoma without him. And then you have a 16-day break before you play the national championship game. So that will give him almost a full month to have the hamstring at 100%. And I know as a player, he wants to be in there, but when you look at the long-term consequences that could be suffered if he did get injured again, you'd be second guessing yourself to the end of time. So I wouldn't play him. I just wouldn't. But that'll be something we'll know about this time tomorrow.
Jimmy, last year Alabama and Oklahoma played in the college football playoff. At the end of the first quarter, it was Alabama 21 and Oklahoma nothing. Alabama had 194 yards of offense, Oklahoma 0. Kyler Murray didn't do anything on that big stage. And I've always said, if you want to know if a guy can play in the NFL, watch him in college when he plays a team like Alabama that has sent more people to the NFL the last decade than any other program in America. And he just was rendered ineffective and was thrown around like a rag doll. Got some garbage yardage late in the game and some points, but Alabama dominated that game from the get-go. What changes about LSU, their game plan against Oklahoma, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a no-go? And like you say, it's a possibility with his injury, hamstring. They've got great receivers, but you've got to be able to eat up clock with your running game.
Yeah, I think they're still fine. I just don't think this old Oklahoma defense can contain them. And, the two freshman running backs, I know they haven't played a lot. One is averaged about, 7 yards a carry. And this Oklahoma defense, early on when they were playing bad teams, it looked like they had improved a lot. And they have some. But they still have a lot of those same guys. And in the last half of the season, some teams put up some pretty good yardage on them. I mean, for example, Kansas State, who at the time was unranked when they played Oklahoma, they scored on eight consecutive possessions and had a 48-23 lead. And I think they just got a little lazy, lost their focus, and really had to hold on for dear life. But I don't think this is going to be a defensive struggle at all. There'll be a lot of scoring, but I I think LSU's going to have a good defensive game plan for them. The reason I say that is that this is the first time all year that they're really going to be healthy. And also, I believe they're, well, I don't know if Divinity is going to be back for it's the championship game or if he'll be back tomorrow. But they look like a completely different team defensively about the last 3 weeks. And I think Orgeron had said that we're healthier right now than we were during the spring game. And they've just gotten a lot better. And, you know, Aranda is an outstanding defensive coordinator. And if you look back, the 2 games that Jalen faced them, the 24-10 game, and the 10-0 game 3 years ago in Baton Rouge, and the 24-10 game 2 years ago, Jalen really struggled against that.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to make sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they put a spy on him just to make sure that whenever he goes back to throw, he's not able to ad-lib and decide to run and then just run 25 yards like he can in the Big 12 against most of those defenses. And if they force him to have to beat them with the passing game, I think they feel pretty good about that because I think they're going to try to double Lamb as much as they can because he's the one guy that can beat you.
Yeah.
And Rambo's also a good player, but really 70% of the passing yards Jalen's racked up this year have been to Lamb, and he's really the key in my mind.
Yeah, and Jimmy, one thing real quick. LSU against Florida, that was a big top 10 matchup in October the 12th. Their longest touchdown drive in that game was, I believe, 2 minutes and 34 seconds. The shortest was 32 seconds. But in that game, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a big difference with his running. So I think that whoever can run the ball the best has the best chance to win this game. Jalen Hurts, he's seen Dave Aranda's defenses before. LSU's defense isn't bad, I don't think. I just think that they're on the field, and when you put those big guys on the front 7, especially the down linemen out there, they get exhausted after about 50, 60 plays. And you start playing 80 or 90, it really wears you down. But I'm gonna pick LSU in this game. And what are they? 14-point favorite?
Yeah, it's right at that.
Okay. Hey, Mallory, now you're an Alabama graduate. You came in there in 07. You came in with Nick Saban his first year there.
Yeah.
And you ran into him at Mass when you first got there. As a woman, and you live in Atlanta, Jimmy, this girl's a serious Alabama fan, and I know you are too. But what about what do women think about college football, this playoff and all like that? You got a lot of football with us, and you know it's going to all be over. The college part of it is it'll be over about January 9th or 10th, and but I think women's interest in football has grown a lot, especially if they want to be around their boyfriends and husbands, hasn't it?
I think so. I mean, I think in the South that's always been a thing. But, you know, I really enjoy the game of football. It's fast enough. I understand it enough. So I enjoy football season.
Jimmy, I'm seeing growing numbers of women have an interest in football. You look at the SEC network, and I think it's an undervalued part of the market. Do you agree? I mean, you live in Chicago. What's the interest up there? Is it all pro football?
Yeah, it's all pro sports. I mean, in the major markets, you know, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, D.C. Yeah, it's entirely pro sports. In Chicago, if Notre Dame's having a good year, you'll hear some chatter and so forth. But it's an entirely a pro sports world.
All right, let's switch gears. Ohio State and Clemson are going to do battle out in Glendale, Arizona tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central. Clemson, the defending national champion, they beat Alabama last year. They've won 27 games in a row, yet I don't think they've given up more than 20 points all season long. Justin Fields transfers from Georgia, gets permission to play immediately as a freshman, gets invited to New York as one of the Heisman Trophy finalists. Clemson's defense, Ohio State's total team, Clemson's running game, Ohio State's running game, pros and cons. I like Clemson in this one. I like Trevor Lawrence under pressure. He's never lost, and I believe they're going to win the game against Ohio State. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Clemson's going to win the game. They have a chip on their shoulder because they've been hearing all year they played absolutely nobody, which is true. And as a matter of fact, the strength of schedule was such that had they lost that North Carolina game, I think they'd have been knocked out of the playoffs just on strength of schedule. I know they've been on a roll and so forth, but critics will say there would be a minimum of 10 to as many as 13, 14 teams that could have played Clemson and played Clemson's schedule and gone undefeated, and it'd be hard to argue with them.
Yeah.
In my lifetime, this is the weakest I've ever seen the ACC from top to bottom. And but at the same time, Clemson has played really well the last 2 months, and they've just been unchallenged. And also, they have a chip on their shoulder. But at the same time, I think Ohio State also has a bit of chip on their shoulder because they haven't played a great schedule either. I mean, you've had Penn State; they got them at home, and Wisconsin, when they played them the first time, it happened to be
Joe from Florida.
Wisconsin lost to Illinois, so a lot of people just kind of scoffed off that win. And then the fact that they struggled against Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game has raised a lot of questions about them. So it's interesting, and those teams are playing with a chip on their shoulder. And I think Clemson, they've been in the playoffs now 5 years in a row. Actually, this will be 6, and I think they have a tremendous amount of confidence. A lot of these Ohio State guys have not played the playoff before, and the seniors that played as freshmen 3 years ago just got annihilated by Clemson in the semifinals, 31-0. So there's a lot to be said for having been in this situation before, as far as getting as far as the semifinals. And then if you had a bad experience, that's only one you remember, and yet the rest of your roster hasn't even played in a college football playoff game. So, that's something to think about. But, hey, this is a different year, different teams, different personnel, so that's why they go out and play.
Yeah, Jimmy, this is the first year Alabama has not been in the playoffs. They were there all the first 5 years, played for the national championship 4 years in a row. And Mallory, you chime in here. It's different not having an Alabama-Clemson rematch, and LSU is the only SEC team in the league this year. How do you rate the SEC? Mallory, your thoughts. First off, the myth, and I think it's absurd for people to think Nick Saban has lost his edge, and I think a lot of people jump on that when Alabama loses a game, especially 2 in a season. That doesn't happen. I think Nick Saban's won 156 games, and he's lost 23 since he's been at Tuscaloosa. They're averaging over 12 wins a year. Mallory, you don't think he's going away, do you?
No, absolutely not. Not anytime soon. I mean, that's just that level of greatness is just you can't maintain that forever, and sometimes it takes to knock us down a little bit for us to rebuild and get back where we need to be. And I think that that's honestly what drives him a lot of the time when we do have a rougher season.
Yeah, I think you're right. Jimmy, what do you think?
Well, it took their best player defensively to miss the season,
right,
to really put them in that situation. Not to mention they also lost the punt. So you replace those 2 players with true freshmen.
right,
Playing high school football a year before. and they really had nobody to call the defenses.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of times during the season when an opponent would just put one guy in motion, and you had guys pointing all over the place about where certain guys should go. And had they had Moses and McMillan, you wouldn't have had any of that. And it was just a situation where by losing those key players, and then in the last month of the season, you had the freshman J.J. Dale, who was pretty much injured the entire last 4 weeks, and he was not nearly the player he was earlier in the year, just again due to his injury situation. It's part of football, but at the same time, this is actually the third year in a row that Alabama just really got nailed at linebacker with just multiple injuries, and it just
Yeah, and Jimmy, look at Alabama, their recruiting class right now. At number 1, you've got Clemson. Number 2, Alabama. 3, Ohio State. 4, LSU. 5, Georgia. 6, Texas A&M. 7, Auburn. And 8, Florida. 6 of the top 8 are SEC schools. And Georgia is sitting there right now. They're still in on 5, or at least 4, I know, 5-star recruits. Darnell Washington out of Las Vegas. Nevada, Kylie Keene, a defensive back out of Segura High School in Scottsdale, Arizona. Zachary Evans out of North Shore High School out in Houston. And, of course, Broderick Jones out of Lithonia, Georgia is a Georgia commitment, but Auburn's in the mix now, and he's not going to sign until February. That's just – and Jordan Birch, the kid out of Columbia, South Carolina, number 2 ranked player in the country, also a 5-star defensive lineman, committed to South Carolina but did not sign in the early signing period. Georgia leading on all 5 of those guys. It's just unbelievable, the competition up at the top end of the SEC. So, I mean, if Alabama, if Nick Saban were leaving, I don't think he'd be sitting there with the number 2 recruiting class in the country. Do y'all think that would be happening?
No.
Jimmy, you there? All right, I think Jimmy has hit a.
Yeah, I lost you for about 5 seconds.
I was going to say, Jimmy, man, in Tennessee we have a mandatory 10 count in wrestling, and when Jerry the King Lawler would be out there with referee Jerry Calhoun, they go 10, he's out. But hey, what I was saying is, I don't think Nick Saban would be holding the number 2 ranked recruiting class in the country if he were leaving. So I think it's not going to change. The SEC will continue to be the toughest league in the country. Jimmy, I know you are traveling and with your family. Have a great Merry Christmas. We've had that. Happy New Year. We're going to be back on with another podcast with you if you'll join us Sunday night, kind of to rehash what happened on Saturday in the college playoffs and bowls. But thank you so much for joining us. You're just a real treasure to have on the air.
All right, thanks a lot. Hope you guys also have a good weekend. Enjoy the games and so forth. I know, like I said, actually there's a couple of really interesting matchups tomorrow leading up to the 2 playoff games.
Yeah, Memphis in the Cotton Bowl. We're going to get to that with our Rivals reporter, Mitch Davis, who's out in Dallas. And I mean, look, Jimmy, these college football games, people said there's too many bowl games. That's like saying Mount Everest is too high. You can't have enough. There's nothing better. I kind of get very sad when duck season ends, right around the same time the Super Bowl is over. It gets very tough because nobody likes to lay around and have to do home chores. That's just the way it is. Football's the best.
They are trying to have done a ton of bowl games, but it would be preferable if most of them were competitive, though.
I agree with you. Jimmy, have a great trip and join us again Sunday night. Thanks so much.
Okay. All right.
All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, then we're going to be right back with Sonny Smith, color analyst on the Auburn Basketball Network, former Auburn coach, and talk a little college basketball. But first, we're going to hear about my main man, Curtis Lowe. God, I love this song. Brings tears to my eyes, Shane.
We got Joe over here. Down to the country store. Cash me and get my money to a man named Curtis Lowe.
just say we care, we show we care. At Ortho One, that's the motto we live by. We place an emphasis on seeing our patients as quickly as possible without sacrificing quality in the care that each patient deserves. Our experienced orthopedic physicians, all of whom are surgeons, display a genuine interest in your personal health, a concern for your time, and a friendly, skilled staff are what you can expect every time you visit one of our offices in Arlington, Collierville, and Olive Branch. Fast, quality care. That's the Ortho One difference. Check them out at ortho1.org.
Where did you get those hamburgers?
How they say,
Where are the best liquor deals?
how they say, how they Now you had a contract, so what will you do? Call Tom Martin's Body Shop, they will help
Yeah.
you. John will
Hey,
tell you
did you call Tony Smith?
and maybe you'll cry.
Hey, Shane.
And you'll help
Gordon
with
just
the
texted me, said he'll pay me the 107 kids. His father-in-law just died. His son, his boys just swear.
Your car is like new. Call Tom Martin's Body Shop if anyone hates you.
Mr. Smith? Hi, this is Audrey from Sidelines. Wondering if you can call in now.
Could be my little niece. Yeah.
Okay.
He's gone. He's moving out. Yeah.
We're coming back. All right, we are back now. Sidelines. It is Friday afternoon, 2 days after Christmas, the day before the start of the college football playoffs down in Atlanta tomorrow at 3 o'clock our time, 4 o'clock y'all's time in Atlanta, LSU in Oklahoma, and then after that, about 7 o'clock Central Time, Ohio State will tee it up against Clemson. And I'm going to pick the Clemson Tigers, and I'm picking the Tigers to sweep LSU and Clemson, Shane. And before we go to Coach Sonny Smith to talk some SEC and college basketball, I got to ask you this. The Vols are taking on a 9-3 Indiana team. That will not be an easy matchup.
No, it won't. It's going to be a good game. I'm pretty sure of that.
And you know what hangs in the balance?
Will even, pretty
Yeah.
well together.
They do. And Indiana, I don't know, they're not a top 10, top 15 team, but they're starting to put a lot of money into their program. And speaking of that, Tennessee, they've got the money, they've got the resources, and Jeremy Pruitt and his staff, really, they've won 6 of the last 7 games. They've got so much momentum going right now. And, Gerentano is one of the comeback players. I think a lot of people, after he fumbled the ball when he went over the top against Alabama on the goal line, Alabama ran it back 100 yards for a touchdown, probably thought the way Jeremy Pruitt greeted him as he came off the field with a, not exactly what you'd call a bear hug of love. He fought his way back and has really been a leader, the leader of the Tennessee football team. And I also think they're starting to, I like to say this a lot, reflect the personality of Jeremy Pruitt. But let's get straight in here now. In basketball season, this is great though. Football will end, but we got basketball, college basketball in the SEC, and one of the best ever, Coach Sonny Smith, analyst on the Auburn Basketball Network, joining us. And Coach, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Playoffs, and thank you so much for joining the show. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, and the same to you guys.
Thank you so much. You're right now. You're getting to see an Auburn team that's 11-0. Going to play David Lipscomb, the Bison, Sunday in Auburn. Tell us about that team, and then let's look around the SEC. And by the way, your thoughts about Eric Musselman at Arkansas? You're right. He's a heck of a coach.
Yeah, I think he's going to do well. And as far as this game with Lipscomb, I think the coach at Lipscomb is an Alabama guy. He coached at the University of Alabama, Huntsville for years, which is a high academic institution. And he won there, won big time. That's his name. and he has gone now to Lipscomb, and and installing his system, which a lot of people look at and play, and it's based on getting a 3-point shot, taking time off the clock, and getting high percentage long distance shots, you might say. And he's been very, very successful with that. Now I don't know how he'll do it. I'll be there in Atlantic Sun. I'm not sure, but I think he's making a big jump to get up there, and he needs games like this to get people looking at the program there. Lipscomb, who's been good over the years, by the way.
They have.
And I think they will be. It's a game that Auburn probably will win, but I tell you, it won't be easy because of Lenny. The way he does things, he's able to hold scores down.
Coach,
but Auburn's ready to play. They've been gone for Christmas. They're ready to go. They're practicing today for the first time since coming back for Christmas.
Coach, what are your thoughts about the 3-point line? It's been moved back just a little bit, but so far, what can you tell, pro or con?
Well, when they moved the line back, I thought the first thought to me, it's going to open up post play because people are going to have to step out a little bit more to guard that 3. Well, now that they do that, that gives that postman in a one-on-one situation in the post. And if you can get the pass in, one thing it hurts it though, it opens up post play and get the ball in there. But that's a longer pass, and it gives that help side a little bit of an edge to get across there and cover him, double him up like they do post people. But in my estimation from the start, just looking at other games, is that it put post play back in the game.
Yeah.
And if the postman's a good man, you're going to have a good team because he's going to throw it in, throw it out, get better 3-point shots, or get inside play.
Yeah. Last year, you look at the run Auburn had, the 3-pointer with Bryce Brown, Derek Harper was amazing. And this team, Auburn so far has shown with Isaac Okoro, he's a freshman. He's fantastic. He may be a one and done, but because it looks like the player that has really stepped up his game, Austin Wiley at a little over 9 rebounds a game. I think he leads the SEC, and we haven't gotten into conference play yet. But also Javon McCormick, point guard, has really stepped up. He played a lot of meaningful minutes last year. It looks like that carried forward to this year in a positive way, didn't it?
Well, there's no question. Playing behind Jared Harper is difficult to get time. But what would happen is they'd put him in there and move Jared Harper over like a shooter in a second guard position. So he ended up playing some major minutes last year, and he really impressed me. He's quick. He has the highest vertical on the team, and he makes shots at big times. He doesn't have, if you look at his stats, they don't look good. Free throw shooting doesn't look good. He's right on the borderline of 30% from 3. But what he does is he makes big time shots. They'll be down. He bring them. I said something like he's brought them back from the dead in the last game, and he actually did.
Yeah.
And people have been playing Auburn awfully close, and you've got to have somebody that can step up, and he's been the step up guy, even though Samir Dowd he's the go-to guy. Samir Dowd he is, but he and Okoro, I better get it right here. I keep saying I'm doing their games. I hate to jump on his name, but he is really, really good too. And he's going to have to work on his shot to be a one and done. I'm hoping he stays 2 years. If he does, Auburn's going to be really good.
It'll be fun to watch. Coach, Alabama's got a new coach they brought in from Buffalo, and like you talked a lot about Avery Johnson a few weeks ago. He liked to run sets, and he came from an NBA background, and that must be a tough transition. Or, hey, you're a coach, you know a lot more than I do for sure. Is it that tough of a deal? And Alabama has great tradition in basketball. Your friend Wimp Sanderson. Look, when I was in college in the 80s, it didn't get much better than Sonny and Wimp. I mean, we did not miss a game, and you're right. The days of the football-only schools in the SEC are over because basketball is here. So let's talk about what Alabama's doing, and then I'd like you to then talk about what's going on, what you're seeing, again, with LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas. because everybody has really amped up their basketball.
Well, Alabama's going to be good. They've had a hard time adjusting from what Avery Johnson ran at Alabama, to up and down, really seriously up and down, looking for threes, and they've got the talent, but I don't know if you can say they run out of steam late in the game or whatever, but they play at such high tempo, and I don't think the kids there have picked up on it. The reason I say that is I was on Wimp Sanderson's show today, and I said I think Alabama's going to be one of the teams that comes along late, and it will hurt you because this looks like they're picking up. Teddy started picking up his play for sure, and they got a great point guard. And they've got also a transfer that plays a point into, I think, Bold. I'm not sure his name. Bold's in that league. But they're, quick as they realize how good this system is, I think Alabama's going to be a threat. And they've had a trouble with that. But the schedule, the schedule may have something to do with that, too. But I will say this. Watch out for Alabama because they're going to be dangerous when it gets to league play. But, the thing about it, people today are shooting threes, and when the ball bounces long, if they rebound a long rebound, that's going to make that running game a lot better because you already got a lead on people.
Yeah.
As far as space, and so they'll get out there and run, and they're going to hurt people in league play. But I think the league is down, and I think it's going to be hard to judge who's good, who's the best team. Is it Auburn? Is it Kentucky? Is it Florida? I think people have a hard time right now saying who is the best and who's going to be the sleepers. I think Arkansas is one of those you've got to watch out for.
Yeah.
The way he's got that bunch shooting the ball, the way they're guarding people, I think Arkansas can be a threat. And did we talk about LSU on your show?
You talk a lot about Will Wade wins everywhere he goes, and he's doing it at LSU. Yeah,
and I think they, as quick as they get everybody back, and all the injured players playing, and I think he's just been able to get players and do what they got to do, and they're starting to do that a little bit right now. So I think they're going to be dangerous. But it's hard to say. Is Georgia going to be good? You never know. When South Carolina goes over there and beats Virginia, so all of a sudden you're looking up at a team that you didn't expect to be a real threat. Now they're a threat. Yeah. So you don't. I don't know how y'all have talked about it on your show, but I think we've got a lot of people that may just step up and make this league solid. But right now people are saying, well, I don't think the SEC is very strong. I think it's going to be a down, but I disagree with that. Really do.
Well, Frank Martin's a heck of a coach, and then you've got John Calipari at Kentucky. That's the juggernaut historically in the conference. And one thing about Kermit Davis, he wins everywhere he goes. And last year, Ole Miss was picked near the bottom of the SEC West. They won a bunch of games. They swept Auburn, and they're playing at the Pavilion in Oxford, which is really one of the better places to watch a basketball game, Coach. The fans are right on top of you. And you think about the toughest places. You've seen them all as a coach, what it's like having the crowd on top of you. But, again, I tell you the difference is they've got those Raising Cane chicken fingers down there in Oxford at the Pavilion, and that makes a huge difference, Coach. And
it does.
I mean,
their arena was built on consulting with the Auburn people on how the way they shaped their Coliseum, arena, if you want, however you want to say it. And they made sure that it was fan friendly. They put the arena, the seats close to the court, and it's built very similar to what Auburn is. Now, Auburn has turned into one of the toughest places to play in the league because the fans are so into it.
Yeah.
And I'm betting with Kermit coaching there, they're going to get back to that same kind of thing. They're making that one of the toughest places to play. Kermit's the kind of guy that he gets his players' attention as quick as he gets them. He gets them to fit into the way he wants them to play. And there's a lot of freedom, but there's also a lot of discipline in that freedom. So he can do the half court job, or he can turn it up and run full court based on what he thinks will win that game. Some people just go say, "We're going to run regardless." Kermit doesn't do that. He does it a little. I think he has more control over what his teams do, and more as much as anybody in the league. Sometimes you get criticized these teams in the SEC because they run and shoot so many threes. They say, "Well, they're not disciplined." You got to have discipline to win with that style, and I think Kermit is one that can do, he could play, he can do the half court game and do it well. He can run when he needs to, but what he does is he defends what the other people runs really good. So he's a coach that you always got to watch out for.
Right.
They say players win the game, but he's a guy that can coach a win, if that makes any sense. And he beat Auburn last year, and I thought his players were not as good as Auburn.
Yeah.
And I look for them to be a threat. I don't know what y'all are thinking if you're fans.
I agree with you.
Fans.
I agree because he's the coach, and you look at the.
That's it.
That's because he's the coach. Just when you were at Auburn, when you got on that role, you had a knack for having the ability to recruit players that made big plays on the biggest of stages. And I mean, you told me a few months ago we lost one of the Auburn legends, Frank Ford, out of Kissimmee, Florida, one of your best basketball players. And man, I got to be there. Him and Gerald White out of Richmond Academy in Blythe, Georgia. And
we lost another player 2 days ago. Kerry Holland, who was one of the guys that come off the bench, died of a heart attack. And so it's been a kind of tough year for me because in all the places I coach, I've had 7 players die this year.
Wow.
And it's really bad. Kerry just passed away. He with a heart attack. He was 6'8", played really well off the bench. When we beat Alabama to win the SEC tournament, he was the guy that made it happen. But the way he come off the bench, we were in foul trouble. He come off the bench and gave us some really good minutes he played 12 to 15 minutes, and he was on the line to win it.
Yeah.
And he had the flu, and he played hard for us, and he made a free throw and missed one to let Alabama have a chance to still win it. But he passed away down in Baldwin, Florida this week, 2 days ago.
Yeah, that's tough. And they become, I remember walking through and you running practices at the Coliseum at Auburn. They're like your kids. I mean, and everybody that's ever played for you feels that way. And, you're talking about the history in basketball. Once the fans in the SEC embrace basketball like they do football, it's scary to think how good, because we've seen the Plaid Palace at Alabama when they're rolling. You're seeing what's going on at Auburn, and it's been that way in the past, and now they're in an arena where it's designed better. The O-Dome down in Florida, in Georgia, in Kentucky, in Tennessee with Thompson Bowling Arena. And I know we want to let you go. We've been long, but tell us your thoughts before you go on what kind of a job you think Rick Barnes is doing at Tennessee, recruiting, the overall. And I know Auburn's got a rematch with them this year, which will be a big national game.
Well, Rick Barnes is perfect fit for Tennessee. And he doesn't live very far from there. I think maybe his wife might have gone to school at Tennessee. And not only is he a good recruiter, and he makes them play hard. He can play any style based on the kids that he's got. And I like the way he does that. He makes adjustments in the game really good. He's going to be a factor every year. Tennessee's close to a lot of players, and their name is big, and they can go out of state and get players, and they should be a big factor in Tennessee. But now you got to worry about Vanderbilt, and you definitely got to worry about Memphis. I don't know if Memphis is going to come all the way up the state to get players, but I'm sure they probably would. But there's some good basketball players in the state of Tennessee. And down there, over there where you guys are, there's players on both sides, Arkansas and Tennessee. And Memphis has got as good a players as anybody. I don't know if nationally if people realize that, but but the thing I realized about Memphis was the fact that you can't go in there and get a player. If Memphis is good, they do such a good job of keeping them at home.
Yeah, you're right. And it's, Penny Hardaway, a legend, now coaching, and he's got Mike Miller, 17-year career with the Memphis Grizzlies on the staff. And so they're doing a great job. And you get momentum going like what's going on at Memphis, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Auburn. It's tough to beat those people out for recruits. You're exactly
I
right.
tell you, Georgia's got the players in their state. So does Florida. Florida can stay in the state. There's so many good schools there, though, that hurt some of that. They can get their players close. And Georgia's got them. And you could get an SEC winning team out of the city of Atlanta if you control the players.
Yeah, you're right.
Memphis has got players that can keep them in the top 25 in the country every year, just recruiting locally.
Yeah.
But you also got Florida. Florida's got a lot of players in that state, and so does Georgia. That's two dangerous schools to be coaching at because you can get players.
You're right. Coach, I love this SEC basketball, college basketball. It is so much fun. And now that the schools in the Deep South, SEC, are really emphasizing it, it's a lot of fun. And thanks so much for joining us today. Look forward to having you on next Friday. And good luck against David Lipscomb Sunday. And look forward to hearing from you next week.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Always a pleasure. Coach Sonny Smith joining us, currently the color analyst on the Auburn Basketball Network, former coach at Auburn, Virginia Commonwealth, and way back up at East Tennessee State. He's from Roan Mountain, Tennessee, up there on the North Carolina line. And Joe has been trying to call in from Parrish, Florida. Joe, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Thank our sponsors who make this show possible. When we come back, we're going to have you on with us talking some college football and recruiting. And before we go, let me say this. Mallory and I are in here eating some chicken wings from Pimento's, and they're one of our sponsors. I've got two locations, 6450 Poplar Avenue and out in Collierville, 3751 South Houston Levee. Check out Pimento's. You know the Holiday Ham name. They've been around since 1993. The best pimento cheese in the world. You know the moon is made out of pimento cheese from Holiday Ham. Mallory verified that and told me that. But check out Pimento's. Great wings. Football this weekend, it's going to be like nirvana for men and women. Get your wings. Go up to Pimento's. Burgers. Good gosh, they've got quesadillas. They've got the pimento cheese, chicken salad, ham salad. Check them out. Pimento's and Holiday Ham. Glad to have them on board. And, of course, one other sponsor, Rocky's Alterations, located across the street from Pimento's, 1866 Poplar Crest Cove, right behind Mecca Eye Care. They do great men's and women's alterations. They can even fix your hunting gear. I've got hunting jackets like I need another one. I've got 41 of them. They can fix anything. They've got suits, sport coats, blazers, jackets, dress shirts, dress pants, you name it. Rocky's Alterations. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Joe, call us back.
No, I am. I've been having. Oh yeah, we're gonna do it when we come back. Hey, now. Hey, I got.
Your new kitchen looks fabulous.
I couldn't have done it without the Kitchens Unlimited team. They captured my style and kept it within my budget.
I just love the materials you use. Are you worried how it would look?
No, not at all. My designer provided detailed drawings and made sure I understood everything. Their great service continues after the install. I got a custom kitchen with the exact style and details I wanted.
Wow, it sounds like you're going to miss them.
Not for long. They also do bathrooms.
You can reach the Kitchens Unlimited team at 3550 Summer Avenue, or on the web at kitchensunlimited.net.
Oh, wait, it was her? Oh, God. That your niece?
You know what my man cave needs?
What's that, Rob?
A giant screen TV with surround sound.
You should go to gaddishome.com.
That's right. They can do all of this without costing us a fortune. They can also put in the security cameras and outdoor lighting you've been wanting forever.
What are you waiting for?
Hey, check them out at gaddishome.com or on our website, sidelines.live. That's Gaddis Home Innovation.
If you have a crash, sit or ding, go to GE Patterson and BBG. The Walmart and Body Shop.
Started trying to pin the kid on him. And God. He was like, no. I had a vasectomy. Wow. Hey, Jenny, can you call in? I mean, I know we got Joe on hold. Okay, come on, Holly. Valerie. All right, we are back here with more sidelines. What a wild afternoon. Mallory, I want you to tell everybody how good those wings are from Pimentos. Now, Jethro Bodine had a twin sister. And those of you that are old enough to remember the greatest TV show of all time, the Beverly Hillbillies, remember that Jethro's sister was named Jethrine. Now, Mallory, you've got an appetite. You like good food. You work out all the time. You're an elite athlete. How good are these wings from Pimentos? They're good, aren't they?
They're delicious. They are. And I mean, the thing about Pimentos is you think of it as like a sandwich soup type of place, but they have such a variety of food. I mean, they kind of take it to the next level.
Their burgers are off the charts delicious. And their quesadillas, their pimento cheese, the burgers, they've got one that's got pimento cheese and bacon on it, but it's a honey cure. It's so good. When you sit down and you eat it, you don't want to finish it. It's on a sourdough bun, but Pimentos holiday ham. Look, if you're hungry, go there. And if you're going to go get some road sodas, some beer, need to go to the liquor store, go to Cardosi Liquors. Hey, Cardosi, they are one of our sponsors. We stopped by on the way to the show today, picked up some ice, having a great time up there. Check out, support our sponsors. And if you slip and fall and get hurt, make sure you go to our Ortho 1 in Arlington, Collierville, and Olive Branch. We've got a lot of sponsors that we are so blessed to have. Sidelines, the number is 901-324-7490, 901-452-3094. We've got Joe on the line down in Parrish, Florida. And Joe, appreciate you hanging on. Looks like the mailman or the meter man is in your house or near there because the dogs are barking. How are you?
We're getting excited about the bowl game down there next week.
That's right, bowl fever for Jackson, huh?
Old guys get excited.
Absolutely. Joe, we just had Sonny Smith on talking some college basketball, and I love it. Mallory, you see here, if you're watching us live streaming on the YouTube channel or Facebook live streaming, that Miss Audrey has going on. And this is Miss Audrey's daughter in here wearing an RTR shirt. Says, I think that stands for, oh, yeah, I know what it stands for. Rolls out of roll. Anyway, we're talking college basketball. Tomorrow, Joe, in Atlanta,
3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock y'all's time. LSU and Oklahoma are going to tee it up at the Mercedes-Benz Georgia Dome. And by the way, Mallory, you've been to games there. Joe, let's get her take on it. What do you think about it? The $150, $200 tickets, but the hot dogs are only $2.
That's true.
Is that a good payoff?
Well, for that kind of experience, I'd take it.
I've been to a lot of arenas, and it's one of the coolest that I've been to. And Joe, I know you went to the Georgia Dome a number of times in the past, but tomorrow LSU and Oklahoma are going to go at it. What are your thoughts? LSU's a 14-point favorite. Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of Baton Rouge may not be able to go full speed in the game, may not be able to play at all.
LSU has a great quarterback, great offensive system, but the running back does make that offense work efficiently. Now, I think they'll still fill in for him, but they have talent galore, but maybe not as good as him. Defensively, they're sound. They're not solid, but they are sound. They've had some big games here lately, so they're definitely improving. Oklahoma's going to be interesting with Jalen Hurts back there, too. He can definitely make the offense come alive. He's a special talent.
Joe, Jalen Hurts is going to be a footnote in history. The first quarterback to play 4 years as a quarterback, starting quarterback. Well, actually, not the starting quarterback. Third year out of 4 years as a starting quarterback, but 4 years to be in the college football playoffs. All 4 years, because I don't see Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, Fabio's double. I don't see him staying all 4 years. The sophomore out of Cartersville, Georgia. But I like Jalen Hurts, and man, he's a good kid out of Channelview, Texas. I remember Burton Burns, by the way, Joe, Alabama running back coach at the time, and Lane Kiffin, the new coach at Ole Miss, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. I think, by the way, a great hire. One of the two best quarterback coaches in America, great recruiter. Winning is in his DNA. I like that hire. But anyway, they had to almost convince Coach Saban to take Jalen Hurts. He was a weightlifting, weight room freak. I think in the NFL he could be also a heck of a strong safety or something, but he brings a lot to Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley, 3 straight years. Well, the previous 2, he had the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. And Baker Mayfield, a transfer from Texas Tech. And last year, he had Kyler Murray, a transfer from Texas A&M. Is this going to be like the Alabama-Oklahoma game last year, where at the end of the first quarter, Bama had 194 yards of total offense. They led 21-0. Oklahoma had 0 yards. They got some, yardage and some points later. But when it mattered, Alabama just put them in the death grip and never let go? Or do you think LSU is going to be in for a full 60?
I believe LSU is going to be in for a full 60, because without the layer back there, their offense is going to be not 100%. And Burrow will get on. He'll find his open receivers. He's very efficient, and he knows it, and his receivers and him are just right on target. It's still going to be a close game regardless. I think it'll be under 14.
Yeah, I will tell you this much. I think that watching Oklahoma play this year, their one loss was to Kansas State. They beat Texas. Everybody likes to say when Texas wins a few games, they're back. But you know what? For the 10th straight year, Texas lost 4 games or more. Well, they're 7-5. Now, for the state that's regarded as the best high school football state in America, I'm not impressed. I'll take Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, high school football, Louisiana, any day of the week on a per capita basis over Texas. Obviously, you got the numbers out there. Same thing with California. What does LSU need to do? Let's say Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I think is the best player pound for pound in the SEC, probably America, at 5'7". He moves people. He runs through people. He's amazing. See him now. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I sound like the guy at the circus, sitting there talking about the guy. He's the best player I've seen in a long time, because on the biggest of stages, Clyde Edwards-Helaire always shows up and plays, as I say, a full 60.
Definitely. He's fast, too. He does it all. He really makes the offense explode.
Well, Joe, if you look at Clemson and Ohio State, and you're a football fan, that game's going to be played out in Glendale, Arizona at the retractable dome and University of Phoenix. Now, they got a great arena, but they don't have a football team, I don't think. But anyway, I think Clemson wins this game. They've been told, like Jimmy said earlier on the show, they haven't played anybody all year. Before I ask you, I want to ask Mallory. You're having withdrawals. I know you are, as an Alabama fan, as a graduate of the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Alabama's not in the playoffs. And Clemson last year really took Alabama to the woodshed. Did Alabama have a just collapse, or is Clemson that good? And you live in Atlanta, which is filled with Alabama fans. Georgia, of course, Georgia Tech to some degree. They're all studying, though. Clemson fans, Auburn fans. What do you think about Clemson? And are they, Dabo, of course, he's the former Alabama player from, Joe, your hometown, Pelham, Alabama.
Yeah.
But is Clemson just on a mission right now to try to steal the momentum, the fire from Nick Saban? And do you think they can beat Ohio State?
As an Alabama grad, it pains me to say that I do. I really do think that Clemson has a great program. And I mean, they won fair and square last year. There's no arguing that. I mean, but I do have to say I hope that Ohio State wins.
Yeah, you do.
But I don't.
Can you believe that, Joe?
I don't know if they can. I really don't know if they can. As much as I hope it, I don't know if they can.
Yeah. All right. Female audience. A lot of times I think people almost dismissively say, let's get more female viewers. Joe, hey, you and Linda love to watch college football. She loves to go to the games. Mallory loves to go to the games, watch the games. In the South, it's almost you're born into it, into the family business. But around the country, it's not always like that. But Clemson, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, these schools in the Deep South, they are. I like what's going on in college football right now. It's exciting. Who is other than Nick Saban, what appeals to you as a fan of coaches that are out there? What makes you like them or a program versus I can't stand this program for whatever reason? But what are the things that you look for that attract you to watch on TV? Yeah.
I think it's just the whole atmosphere of it. I mean, it's just it's Saturdays in the South, and I mean, and going back to what we said earlier about how it being all professional up north. I mean, those women are just as passionate about it. They're just passionate about professional teams, but they have plenty of transplants down here who go to Southern schools.
Yeah.
And honestly, they're the ones who go around and teach half of us what's going on because they really are born into it up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I roomed with a girl whose family's, grandfathered into Packers tickets, and she can call the plays before the refs do. I mean, she's constantly, she's just on top of it.
Well, Joe, let me just say, after hearing that, I feel like America's got a bright future, don't you?
I do too. And I agree with her. I mean, their emphasis really on professional sports, especially out in the West Coast where the Pac-12 or Pac-10 is dying. But, I mean, just look at the draft day. I mean, the fans are just fanatics.
Yeah, they are.
It's insane. But, I mean, it's like the South on a football side, Saturday in the South,
It really does. Joe, let me talk about, you mentioned the Pac-12, and, Jimmy Hodge from Chicago, he called in earlier. We did a podcast this past Sunday. Of the ESPN 300, the top 300 players in the country, in this recent signing date, December 18th, 19th, and 20th, only 40 of the top 300 players were from the states that comprise the geographical footprint that are the Pac-12. 21 of those 40 were from the state of California. And a lot of those kids left. A lot of the best players in Los Angeles, in the Valley, they've left. Okay? Southern Cal, their fan base, because of the new athletic director, it was
perceived that he would make a change and get rid of the current coach, Clay Helton. They rendered him a lame duck coach all season, but in the eyes of recruits, they didn't think he'd be there. They had like the 80th or 85th ranked recruiting class in the country, which is probably the worst in Southern Cal history. It's just proof of what a fan base can do in social media if they want to take out a coach. The Pac-12 right now, I think the standard bearer in the Pac-12 is Oregon. Mario Cristobal, Joe, played at Miami 88 to 92. He was at Alabama 2013 to 2016. He was the ranked number 1 or 2 as the Rivals' top recruiter 24/7 in the country. He is building an Auburn, Alabama, Clemson, LSU, Florida, Georgia type program at Oregon. And let's just say they'll have plenty of Nike apparel to wear.
Definitely. Well, back in the day, remember USC and UCLA was just a marquee game. Now, it's not even on the calendar anymore, is it?
No. And you know what? We better be careful. Look, we're all SEC Southern fans. I'm Memphis and Auburn, but I pull for all these schools. I don't hate anybody. I just love my school. And we better be careful. We lose college football. That is like losing sand at the beach. You got to. We've got to have college football all over the country. So, all right, Joe, your pick right now in these playoff games. You've got LSU to win.
Yep. Yeah, Clemson.
Okay, LSU and Clemson.
Clemson has the experience now. Ohio State's bringing a quality team in there and a high-powered offense, but Clemson has the experience. They're deep. Yeah, the coach really cares, and he really gets the best out of the players.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be the biggest difference in the game. The coach needs to inspire his players to perform.
Dabo, one of the better stories in college football, what he overcame. Good gosh. Joe, hey, Appreciate the call. Uncle Charlie, hang on the line. We're going to go to a quick break here on Sidelines. 901-324-7490, 901-452-3094. We'll be right back. Man, I'd love to hear Curtis Lowe again. Just hint, hint, hint. I love Curtis Lowe. We'll be right back.
We don't just say we care, we show we care. At Ortho One, that's the motto we live by. We place an emphasis on seeing our patients as quickly as possible without sacrificing quality in the care that each patient deserves. Our experienced orthopedic physicians, all of whom are surgeons, display a genuine interest in your personal health, a concern for your time, and a friendly, skilled staff are what you can expect every time you visit one of our offices in Arlington, Collierville, and Olive Branch. Fast, quality care. That's the Ortho One difference. Check them out at ortho1.org.
Now you had a car wreck, so what will you do? Call Tom Martin's Body Shop, and they will help you. Tom will tell you how much, and maybe you'll cry. Give you a help with insurance, and that is no lie. And before you know it, your car is like new. Call Tom Martin's Body Shop if anyone hates you.
Your new kitchen looks fabulous.
I couldn't have done it without the Kitchens Unlimited team. They captured my style and kept it within my budget.
I just love the materials you used. Were you ever worried how it would look?
No, not at all. My designer provided detailed drawings and made sure I understood everything. Their great service continues after the install. I got a custom kitchen with the exact style and details I wanted.
Wow. It sounds like you're going to miss them.
Not for long. They also do bathrooms.
You can reach the Kitchens Unlimited team at 3550 Summer Avenue or on the web at kitchensunlimited.net.
That was a Kirby thing.
Oh, what a great song, September. And I'll tell you one thing, Earth, Wind, and Fire, one of the best concerts I've ever seen live at the Garden. And back in 2013, we were right up front. God, they are incredible. All right, those of you that have been TV fans for a long time, maybe you have Me TV. One of my favorite shows as a kid was My Three Sons. And on that show was a crotchety old curmudgeon named Uncle Charlie. He used to always tell, Fred McMurray, the dad, and the three kids, he'd say, Rob, you kids don't know how good you got it. When I was a youngster, I lived in Port Moresby. I used to eat boiled cabbage and boiled water and bone broth every meal of the day. And I liked it. I was in the Merchant Marines. All right, Uncle Charlie joining us now. Uncle Charlie, I know that you are a passionate Tennessee fan because it says so on the screen. And Uncle Charlie, let's talk about your formula that you've come up with, your algorithm. Have you seen our good friend Tom in the middle chair here, Tom the turkey? He's joined us today, Uncle Charlie, if you're watching, streaming live. But Charlie, Uncle Charlie, excuse me, no disrespect. Let's talk about your formula where you've got the abolishment of the divisions in the Southeastern Conference, and everybody plays everybody. Okay, I like it a lot, but I'm gonna let you take over from here. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Rob. Yeah, absolutely. You and I've talked about this before, and it's ridiculous. You got teams playing each other once every 7 or 8 years or whatever it is, and then it's another 7 or 8 years before you're at the other campus. Like Tennessee, Auburn. I was telling you last time I was out at the Auburn game, I may not be alive next time. The Vols play down at Auburn, and it's just.
Well, I hope you are, because you're a young man, Uncle Charlie.
Well, yes, I'm not the crotchety old man you described.
Yes, of course, that's just a moniker. It's strictly a moniker. No pun intended.
Oh, exactly. I know. But, no, if you get rid of the division, similar to how they did in basketball, and just play, designate 3 permanent opponents, you could do 4 or 5, but then that's, less frequency of playing the other teams. But say you do 3 permanent opponents, of course there'd be much debate on who those 3 permanent opponents would be for each team out of, from a rivalry standpoint or regional proximity or what have you, and trying to achieve a fairness and a balance on who the 3 opponents are for each team. But that could all be hashed out. I mean, we hashed that out when we went to divisions and lost some great rivalries like Auburn, Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, Ole Miss. And other, great ones like that we all grew up with and loved, every year. But you go to the 3 permanent opponents, you get rid of the division structure, and then every team is going to play every other team of the remaining, 10 teams that you have there, minus your 3 permanent ones. You're going to play 2 out of every 4 years. So whether that's a home and home, and then 2 years off, or playing every other year, rotating sites. That way, every 4-year college football player will play at every SEC stadium at least once. Once in their 4-year career for the other 10 teams, and of course every year on the permanent opponents. It's just tragic that the teams play so infrequently, and really, what does this business mean? I mean, it may affect the SEC championship in some ways. You might have some more rematches than you do if you just take the top 2 teams, more so than you do now. But so what? That's really not. That's a very small price to pay, I think, for revamping the structure and getting, and not just for the players, but for the fans. I mean, fans like, following their team, going to opposing stadiums. I'm proud to say, after going to Missouri today, I've seen Vols play in every SEC stadium now, at least once. And, it's something fun to do to go to these different stadiums.
I agree with you. And Mallory, you're an Alabama fan and graduate. Finished up in the summer of 2011. You know your traditional rivals, and those are LSU, Auburn, Tennessee. Who else would you like to see as a fan Alabama play that you don't currently play in the conference more frequently? Florida?
Yeah, Florida.
I brought Tim Tebow to tears, by the way.
Yeah, I remember that.
Georgia?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think it's fun to shake it up. I mean, you get used to seeing the same players, especially if you're there for 4 years. You get used to a routine, and you start to take it for granted because nothing's, and nothing kind of like excites you anymore. Yes, like other teams you hear are better this year and they're going to beat you, and then they do or they don't, and that sucks or it's fine. But I think it's more exciting to shake it up for sure.
I agree. And Uncle Charlie, back when you and I were in college, non-conference games for Tennessee and Auburn were like Auburn and Tennessee both played Georgia Tech. I remember the 1987 Auburn non-conference schedule. Auburn opened up the season against Texas. They beat them Labor Day weekend 31-3 in Auburn. I remember that game. But also in non-conference, Auburn played Kansas. They played North Carolina. They played Georgia Tech. And they played Florida State. And I remember Auburn played Florida, Florida State, and then Georgia on the road and Alabama in Birmingham. So that non-conference schedule, no one in the world would play it. Of course, you only played 6 conference games. But Coach Saban, and he carries a hell of a lot of weight in college football circles, what does he think about the 9-game conference schedule? Is he for it or against it? Because that's what's going to matter is who is really, advocating for this. But Uncle Charlie, I would like to see the SEC go to a 9-game schedule. I'd love to. We got to do it.
I'm talking just maintaining the 8-game schedule.
Yeah.
But, certainly going to 9 games gives you a lot more options for, more frequency of playing other SEC schools and different arrangements and that kind of thing. Maybe 4 permanent opponents in that scenario or something. But I was just talking with the 8-game schedule, and I think something needs to be done to shake it up. And I'd like to see him talk about the spring meetings in Destin this year, because the current rotation is set through 2025, and I don't know if that's locked in, for good or that can be moved up. But regardless, these schedules are so far out, with non-conference opponents and stuff, and then trying to arrange the conference games around. I think it's something they need to get to talking about soon. I would hope they could talk about it this year and at least start floating the idea and thinking about it. It's just, I just really think it's not even, you don't even feel like you're in the same conference with a lot of these schools. Now, some of them didn't play very frequently beforehand or never played on an annual basis. I mean, I was looking at some stats. Ole Miss and Florida, for example, and Mississippi State and Georgia, they've only played 24 times. Mississippi State and Vanderbilt have only played 22 times. And these are founding SEC members going back to the Southern Conference
Yeah.
before the SEC. So some of them just haven't played ever very frequently, but I think it would just give a lot more homogeneity to the conference for everybody to play at least 2 out of every 4 years, and there's excitement for the players and fans, and I think it makes more interesting on a national schedule too, and you wouldn't have this unbalance of the West being so much better than the East, and back in before that, when Tennessee and Florida were always top 5, and Georgia too. The East was considered the more dominant. So you would
Mitch.
say about into that too.
I'll just say this: in the last 11 years, the SEC West in SEC championship matchups in Atlanta is 10-1. The lone dissenter, the lone voice in the wilderness, was Georgia when they beat Auburn 28-7, December 2nd of 2017. So 10 of the last 11 have been won by the SEC West. Scrap the divisions. I'm with you, Uncle Charlie. Great report. Great story. I want you to get this to me so we can put this up on our website at sidelines.live, because people need to be able to read this, and let's get some momentum going for this. And Uncle Charlie, get back. Rob just came in, and he said he and the boys, Ernie, they're really hungry for some boiled cabbage. Appreciate you being on the show with us. We're going to go to Mitch Davis now, University of Memphis Rivals.com reporter. Mitch, you are in the Big D, Dallas, the Metroplex. The Memphis Tigers out there playing Penn State, man. 12-1 Memphis, playing one of the blue bloods of college football. But I've got, I love the Memphis Tigers. I want them to win. I got to believe they're going to win. They've got to believe it, and they've got to expect to win to have any kind of a chance. Just let's start from scratch. Tell us what you're seeing out there, what you're hearing from the Memphis guys and the Penn State people, because the Cotton Bowl is going to be less than 24 hours. We're going to be kicking it off, and history's going to be made.
What's up, guys? What a dang good day it is to be a Memphis Tiger. It's always a great day to be a Tiger from the 901. But today, I just got back from Battle of the Fans, and let me tell you what, I'm ready to run through a brick wall, because that fan and the Tiger fans have outnumbered the Penn State fans down here in Dallas. It is absolutely incredible. It's like they picked up Memphis and moved it 7 hours south. It's absolutely tremendous amount of Memphis fans that are down here in Dallas.
You've been going to the press conferences. You're hearing a lot. I mean, Ryan Silverfield is the new coach. Mike Norvell left December 8th, went down to Tallahassee to take over the Florida State job. But there's a lot of coaches that stayed behind, so there's familiarity for Brady White and the Tigers. Offense, defense, special teams, it all has to click to make it happen. What's the comfort level right now with the players and how comfortable they are with those new coaches that are, well, not new coaches, but coaches that have changed positions from offensive line coach to now the head coach?
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are just excited to be here. They're treating it like another game. They're saying, okay, hey, this is one of these other games where they come in here and just play Memphis football. I don't think they're listening to the outside noise. I know, we had a player leave, and of course, Joey Magnifico goes out with an injury. I don't think these guys are listening to any of that. I just think they're going to come out here, represent for the city of Memphis. They love Coach Silverfield. Of course, you guys have probably heard Coach Silverfield is a player's coach. I mean, every player loves him. Every player adores him. They're a war for him. And I think you're going to see that this weekend against Penn State. Is these guys going to war for Coach Silverfield? Because what better way will, Coach Silverfield, era at Memphis start off with a Cotton Bowl win over a blue blood of college football in Penn State. And I think these guys understand that. They're not listening to the whole Penn State hype train that everybody's building up, saying Penn State's the best, and, Penn State this, Penn State that. I don't think these guys are listening to that in the slightest. I think they're going to come out here prepared and focused and just to play Memphis football and represent the front of that jersey and represent the 901.
Do you feel like that the Memphis players are not nervous and caught up in all the hype that they've been in a lot of big games this year where the nation's focus has been on their game. The SMU game was big. The conference championship game was big. The Cincinnati game, look, they played Cincinnati twice in 8 days. So I would think that their comfort level is really on their side for these big games, because if you're nervous, a scared man never won a fight.
You know, and that's the thing. These guys, I don't even think they're thinking, oh, well, this is, I mean, of course, they obviously realize it's the Cotton Bowl, but they're not getting caught up in all this. They haven't done that all season long. They've been on a mission since that simple game where they got kind of messed over by the officials. They've been on a mission, and I really, truly believe in my heart of hearts that this is just another business trip for them, and that this possibly could be the most special moment in Tiger football history.
Mallory, I've got Mallory on here with us, Alabama graduate, my stepdaughter, and she knows football. And one thing that Mitch, you're young, your generation, everyone calls you millennials or whatever. That's bunk. I've got kids 19 to 23 and 21 in between. Hey, if there's a problem, it's on the parents. I think the kids today are as passionate as ever about college football. You and Mallory not that far apart in age. The Cotton Bowl, one of the historically tradition-rich games, Dallas, Fort Worth, they put on a great show out there. And Mallory, you're an Alabama fan. Y'all are playing in the Citrus Bowl against Michigan, another one of the tradition-rich programs, winningest program in the history of college football. You get excited about watching these games because, as Elvis would say, I love the holidays because the holidays means people are getting together. And when people get together, that means eating. So I'm hungry. I love it. But tell me what you think about it, and we'll flip back to Mitch.
No, I love it. I mean, like I said before, football's tradition, and I mean, there's just something about it and watching it. And I mean, investing in all these programs, not just Alabama. I mean, as an Alabama grad and watching football, obviously I'm invested in how everyone else is doing because eventually or ultimately it's going to affect where we line up.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to put stock in everyone else's program and not just your own. But I absolutely love watching them all.
Well, I tell Mitch, he's young. He's, in his mid-20s. He's the University of Memphis reporter for Rivals.com. He hasn't been jaded and influenced by past failures and whatever's. The University of Memphis now is focused like a sniper on a high-value target in Afghanistan. And the fan base, it's not just, hey, we've got our basketball donors, and then we got our football people. I think, Mitch, and I want you to pick up on this, but I think Memphis people are now pulling for the Memphis Tigers for everything, because once you start doing that, once you start getting everybody rowing in the same direction, you're going to get over those big waves in the surf and quit getting flipped over and thrown back on shore, and you're going to get out to sea, and the sky's the limit. Your thoughts?
I think we talked about this before we went on air. I was a Battle fans. I was a Texas Live, and this is the best way I can describe it. When I'm sitting there on the balcony there listening to the Memphis band, and I was conversing with some friends and family that are down here, I got chills when they started playing Go Tigers Go.
Yeah.
I talked to several people, and that kind of moment is the same sentiment across the board. You see a lot of these people pack everything they have up, go 7 hours south to come down here for this game. When I tell you that this is Memphis South and 901 South, this is truly Memphis South. I mean, I'm staying in downtown Dallas at a really nice hotel down here, and everybody down here is talking about Memphis. They're not talking about just Penny Hardaway and Memphis basketball programs. They're talking about Memphis football. And, and I told you this morning when we talked. I grew up, watching Memphis. I used to grow up and go to all the games with Danny Wimpron and D'Angelo Williams and that decade of Memphis football. And, to be here, and I actually talked to Danny Wimpron yesterday, and he put it there best. He said, to be here this weekend, to play in the Cotton Bowl, and to look where the program has gone. Bobby West said, get rid of the program if you're not going to put money into it. Called out all the, all the boosters and all the administration. Called those guys out, and now look at it. Now look at it 10, 15 years down the line, and here we are in Dallas, Texas, playing in the freaking Cotton Bowl.
I know.
That to me, and honestly, I'm talking to you right now, and I'm in my hotel room about to go out and do some more events and this and that, but sitting here talking to you and saying that, let alone gives me chills. I'm a lifelong Memphian. No matter where the good Lord takes me on my journey and takes me out of Memphis, I will always be a Memphian. And this year under, Coach Norvell and now under Coach Silverton, it means more to me than any of our basketball accomplishments. Whether that's the 2008 Final Four, whether that's anything else that I've witnessed in my lifetime, this Memphis football accomplishment, to be here, to be in the Cotton Bowl, to play at AT&T Stadium, means more to me, and I know it means more to the city, than anything else that's ever come before.
Mitch, I got to tell you, fall of '82, I went down to Auburn. There were two things I used to do: listen to KMOX AM 1120, the St. Louis Cardinals baseball with Jack Buck and Mike Shannon, and I would go out in the car at night when I'd get, I missed home and all my friends, and I was down at Auburn. And I would listen to the Tigers games on the radio, and I've always pulled for Memphis. I knew I was going to Auburn from birth, but it is I love the University of Memphis. It's if you are Pat Dye came up here to the Memphis Touchdown Club in October of '94. He gave a great speech, and he said, let me say something. He said, I was an All-American at Georgia. I coached with Coach Bryant. He was like a father to me for 9 years, 12 years at Auburn. But I got to say this. How many Ole Miss fans we got in here? And people raise their hands. How many Tennessee, Mississippi State, Arkansas? He said, how many Memphis fans we got? And he goes, all right, I see Mama there. Prep player of the week's Mama was there. Some of the guys raising their hands. He said, let me tell you something. All of you need to be Memphis fans. He said, when I went to East Carolina in 1974, I'd come from Alabama. It was as good as it gets. It was like being, on tour with Elvis, with Coach Bryant. We won national championships every 3 or 4 years. It was great. And I got there to East Carolina, and I built that program. And I told him, I said, you know what? All those teams in North Carolina and Wake Forest, North Carolina State, Maryland, Virginia, they put their pants on just like we do. But we're going to outwork them. We're going to be hungrier, tougher, and meaner. We're going to play a full 60, and we're going to beat them. He said, all of you that live here need to pull for the University of Memphis, because what's good for the University of Memphis is good for your town. And I always took that to heart, and I took him back to the airport the next morning at 5:30 in the morning, and he said, you like that? I said, yes, sir. He goes, I meant it. I really did. And I think there's a lot of people that have wanted to support the University of Memphis in the past who have now seen, hey, it can happen. And it's like my wife always says, you want something to happen, stand in the mirror and do the Superman pose for a couple of minutes and say, hey, it's going to happen. Talk about the feeling among fans that you've talked to, lifelong Tiger fans, and I know a ton of them that, just get in tears. When they talk about where they are. Memphis needs to win this game, but if they don't, they're hungry. They're going to come back for more. Once your mind reverts from its original position and sees this, it's never going to revert back to the old days. So tell me before we let you go, what these longtime Tiger fans and some of the people in the athletic department and coaches, what are they saying? What does it mean to them?
I think a lot of it, and I'll use this sports analogy. Everybody knows the story of the 2016 Chicago Cup.
Yeah.
Lifelong Cup fans waited 200 years, whatever it was.
250.
And, you have that sense of feeling here with me. You have that sense of, hey, this has been the building block, what has happened over the past, 100 years of Memphis football. This has been a time coming, I can remember games with Rob where I was sitting in the stands with, my family and friends, and Memphis was getting beat by 40. I think it was the Marshall, and the rain was coming down, and Southern missed one of those games.
Yeah.
To be able to look back and say, hey, you know what? I know, my lifetime, that's what it was. And I know for my mom's lifetime, it is what it was. And your lifetime, and of course, my grandparents that had season tickets 40 years ago, what it was like.
Yeah.
When you look back, I think everybody, they're happy to be here. Sure, if we win, that's going to be icing on the cake. But just to be here at the Cotton Bowl, and you know what, I do want to say this, hats off to the Cotton Bowl. They have put on one of the most terrific shows I have ever been a part of. It is popular line for the Cotton Bowl, but just to be here means a lot to this city, means a lot to the fan base. And I think if they win, sure, it's going to be, they deserve to have a parade, shut down the whole city, do a college game day atmosphere down on Bill Street. Let's have a parade. Let's have the confetti and everything going crazy. But if they end up losing in a close game, or even if they get blown out, I think Memphis fans will look back on this moment tomorrow and say, this is what defines Memphis football, not only for the past, but also turn the page for the future. And I think I mentioned that in an article that I dropped earlier in the week, and saying basically let's turn the page. This is the turning of the page where we look back on the past and say, hey, we've come this far, but you know what? Our future is even brighter. And I believe in my heart of hearts, the college football playoff will be expanded, and maybe someday Memphis football or UCF or Cincinnati or somebody of that nature will be able to play in the college football playoffs. And I really believe the sky is the limit for this Memphis football program.
I agree with you, and I'm going to say before we let you go that you got to remember this: if you want a program to be great, you got to support it. You know, whatever you do in your personal life, your personal career, are you the best at what you do? Before you start criticizing and condemning coaches and players for not being their best, look at what you do yourself. I think the commitment with Dr. Rudd and Tom Bowen brought in Mike Norvell, and now you've got Ryan Silverfield. I think the commitment is there to win, and I think the city has seen the benefits of winning. So great days are ahead no matter what happens tomorrow. I'm pulling for the Tigers. I love it. Nothing pulls this city together more than the sound of good gospel music, Elvis Presley, some of the best, the smell of barbecue, and the smell of Pronto Pups over there at a Tigers game at Hollywood and Central. I absolutely love it. Go Tigers!
Go Tigers. Y'all have a great week.
All right, you too, man. Thanks for the report. We'll look forward to having you on again next week. Let's take a quick break. Sidelines. We'll be right back.
Can I not go pee?
Where did you get that tailgate beer?
Cowboy safe. Cowboy safe.
Where are the best liquor deals?
Cowboy safe. Cowboy.
You know what my man cave needs?
What's that, Rob?
A giant screen TV with surround sound.
You should go to gaddishome.com.
That's right. They can do all of this without costing us a fortune. They can also put in the security cameras and outdoor lighting you've been wanting forever.
What are you waiting for?
Hey, check them out at gaddishome.com or on our website, sidelines.live. That's Gaddis Home Innovation.
Your new kitchen looks fabulous.
I couldn't have done it without the Kitchens Unlimited team. They captured my style and kept it within my budget.
I just love the materials you used. Were you ever worried how it would look?
No, not at all. My designer provided detailed drawings and made sure I understood everything. Their great service continues after the install. I got a custom kitchen with the exact style and details I wanted.
Wow. It sounds like you're going to miss them.
Not for long. They also do bathrooms.
You can reach the Kitchens Unlimited team at 3550 Summer Avenue or on the web at kitchensunlimited.net.
All right, we are back here for the last about 12 minutes of Sidelines on a Friday afternoon. We'll be on until 5 o'clock Central Time. Check us out, sidelines.live. Also, we live stream on the YouTube TV channel. And Audrey puts us on this Facebook streaming stuff. I asked my 91-year-old dad about streaming. He goes, I ain't going fishing. All right, Mallory been joining us. Man, I'm going to tell you what, this is a lot of fun. This weekend, a lot of college football, basketball, pro football. Man, I mean, this is just all the perfect storm is what you want to call it as a sports fan. If you're hungry, if you like eating wings, burgers, check out Pimentos. And you got to make sure that you check out Holiday Ham, too. They've been around 26 years, since 1993. Best pimento cheese in the world. By the way, the moon's made from pimento cheese. Holiday Ham made the moon. Check them out, Pimentos. 6450 Poplar Avenue and 3751 South Houston Levee out in Collierville. Great wings, burgers, quesadillas. I mean, they've got a lot. They have margarita Mondays.
Salad.
Yeah, the soups are awesome. They have lobster bisque, chili. They have tomato soup. They have great soup. They also can cater for your parties, office meetings, whatever you need. Trey Jordan, his father Don Jordan, started the company back in 1993. Now, Trey is a Baylor graduate. He's pretty fired up about Matt Rule and the Baylor Bears taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. And if Georgia doesn't show up with a positive attitude that they want to be there, they're going to get beat. Baylor's pretty darn good. Baylor, small private university out in Waco, Texas, 10,000 students. They're going to bring a lot of fans to New Orleans. Not sure if they'll go out in the French Quarter too much, but there used to be an old saying, why would you want LSU in the Sugar Bowl? Their fans will come down here and they'll do two things. They won't break the 10 Commandments and they won't break a $10 bill. I'm like going, what planet are you on, man? LSU fans are the best fans in the world for coming to your town and having a good time. But check them out, Pimentos and Holiday Ham. Get your wings, get all your party food. Check out Cardosi Liquors too. Check them out, 3327 Jackson Avenue in Memphis for your beer, your liquor, your wine. Go up there and see our man Fig. By the way, he got that nickname when we were kids. He loves Fig Newtons. Fig Newtons. Fig at Cardosi Liquors. Also, Rocky's Alterations, 1866 Poplar Crest Cove, right behind Mecca Eye Care, across the street from Pimentos on Poplar. Right there before you get to Poplar and Kirby intersection. Rocky's Alterations, I've been going there since the mid-'80s. His Uncle Richard Capadia, y'all remember him from Joseph A. Bank. Rocky is taken over a couple of years ago when Richard retired. They do men's and women's alterations. They can fix your hunting gear, pants, anything you want. They also do a great job with men's sport coats, suits, blazers, sport jackets, dress shirts, dress pants, suits, you name it. Rocky's Alterations. If it can be done with material and thread, Rocky can do it. Check them out and support all of our sponsors. They make this show possible. Mallory, a lot going on right now. A lot of great college football games. I want your thoughts about LSU and Oklahoma. You obviously know about LSU. They broke your heart in Tuscaloosa in a 15-round knockdown, drag-out, just like the Iron Bowl was. If you're going to beat Alabama, you've got to play a full 60. Do you think Alabama is good? I mean, LSU is good enough to beat Oklahoma? The game's in Atlanta. It'll be a decidedly LSU, pro-LSU crowd. I don't know how much you've seen Oklahoma play this year, but they know how to win.
No, I agree. Oklahoma does know how to win. I think they're both great teams. Honestly, I have to say, as odd as it might sound, I mean, I am kind of pulling for LSU just because they broke our hearts. I want to see them win.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to say, oh, they're the best. We lost to the best.
Yeah.
But again, I think Oklahoma's a great team as well, and it wouldn't upset me to see them win either.
I think LSU is going to win. Their defensive material on the front seven. If you look at the LSU, Clemson, Georgia, Auburn, Florida, their front sevens are so good. Oklahoma's defense is better this year, but that's by Big 12 standards. LSU's defense, I don't think is bad. I don't think they have the depth that they typically have on the front seven. But when you score as quickly as they do, and you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow,
right,
who in the 3 years he was at Ohio State threw 39 passes. He threw more than that just against Alabama. He wins the Heisman Trophy, almost 4,800 yards passing, 48 touchdowns, most yards, most touchdowns in a season in SEC history. And Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers, they need Clyde Edward-Helaire at running back, the 5'7", I believe pound for pound. I'm going to say he's the best player in college football. Out of Baton Rouge, which produces so many great football players. He's a friend of Les Miles, former LSU coach's son. That's probably why LSU recruited him, as Jimmy Ott from ESPN 104.5 told us a few weeks ago. And Jimmy tried to call in on the show today. I'm not sure if he wasn't stampeded. He's over in Atlanta. I know he was taking his son over there for the LSU-Oklahoma game. But it's going to be critical. If Clyde Edwards plays, I really feel good about LSU covering the 14 points. If not, I still believe LSU will win. It might be a little closer. Right. Ohio State and Clemson. Talked about it earlier. Ohio State is kind of like one of the elite programs in college football. They've got a transfer from Georgia starting right now. He is a sophomore, but he's able to play right away. Justin Fields from the metro Atlanta area where you live. Every town within 50, 60 miles is called Atlanta?
Yeah, I think you'd have to say that.
Well, Mallory, I got to say, you're lucky. You live 1 mile from the Battery.
Right.
It's over there last month where the Braves play their games. If you have not been to Atlanta, you need to go. And you need to go to the Battery. And Tyler in there, he's the Braves fanatic. How many Braves games did you go to this year?
I think I went to maybe 25. Tyler probably went to about 30, 32.
It's an event. It's a cultural event.
It really is.
It's unbelievable. All right. Shane Snakeskin Cowboy in there. Tennessee and Indiana. Going to tee it up. We talked about the game a little bit earlier. But what does this game mean to a Tennessee fan? You've experienced a lot of success. I call this the lost decade. Since they forced Philip Fulmer out, Tennessee has struggled. They've had some 9-win seasons. They hadn't had a double-digit win season in a long time. You'd have to go back to 2007 since they did it. But Tennessee is a proud tradition. And I got to say, my wife, Audrey, her favorite animal in the world is not a teddy bear or a koala bear. It is that flea-infested dog, Smokey the Hound. I just want to see if she was paying attention. I like Smokey a lot, but
I have to put her on the air on that.
oh, she's coming in. She's coming in with a baseball bat. But what do you think as a Tennessee? I'm a huge fan of success, hard work, winners. What does this mean to Tennessee if they can get this win against Indiana? I know what it means to me personally. A steamer pack of 24 crystals. I win my bet. So we're all going to celebrate and eat grenades with shrapnel. I'll even buy a few bowls of mud, chili, and some boxes of fuses, the French fries.
Well, what it means is, to me personally, what this means is, well, we got off to a rough start, with the new coach. With, there were still players left over from the last regime, and those players, I don't think they fully bought in to Jeremy Pruitt the first year, and it took them a little while the second year. But now they're fully bought in, and some of these guys like Jawan Jennings, he wasn't even on the team when Jeremy Pruitt took over. We gave him another chance, and if it wasn't for him, basically, I don't think we get as many wins as we did this year. But they bought in, and they finished 7-5, basically what I thought they would do. So I think it gets better from here. I think Jeremy Pruitt it's took a little time for him to, kind of get the ropes of being a head coach.
Yeah.
But I think he's got it now, and they can't do nothing but go up. But it means a lot that they could turn around their season and become bowl eligible.
Yeah, and I think Tennessee, they have recruited well. Jeremy Pruitt's got 4 national championship rings from his days at Alabama and Florida State in 2013. So he knows what a championship team looks like, what it's made of. He knows where to go shopping, what aisles to go on at the grocery store to get the top players in the country. And I want to say this too. I think we are looking going forward at an 8-team playoff that's going to allow the 5 Power 5 conference teams, champions, to be in the playoff, and 3 at-large teams. As Mitch Davis, our great reporter for the University of Memphis Rivals.com, check him out. But I think that the more teams that you get involved, the more interest there is across the nation in college football, and that's what we need. College football, remember, It's not about the name on the back of the jersey. It's about that logo on the side. Ride for the brand. All right, folks, great show. Check us out, sidelines.live. We'll be back on Sunday night with a podcast talking about the weekend's college football and basketball. That next recruiting coming up first Wednesday in February, we'll be keeping you informed of that as well. Go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers. That's Clemson, LSU, and Memphis. I'm pulling for the Tiger trifecta. Mallory, thank you so much for joining us. Loved having you on here. Snakeskin Cowboy and Miss Audrey, Tyler, Sampson, Small Dog, Cliff. Hey, have a great weekend, everyone.